all under one umbrella.
Right. And I think where she was going with it originally was naming wise. She was trying to name everything under the same thing and not set up two different ways. I think it was more so.
And from that perspective, you're going to have to keep the businesses separate anyway. When you talk about financial, your bank accounts, when you talk about your taxes, so everything has to be separate in that sense, because how do you really understand what business is making money or losing money if you're not separating it? As well as if you're ever audited by the IRS, those expenses and income need to be separated. So I would just say just go ahead and separate those types of businesses.
Gotcha. All right, so what brought you back to Tampa? You graduated from A&T, did some work, and then now you're back in Tampa.
I miss my family, honestly. It was just my mother and I in North Carolina, and the majority of my family is here in Tampa. And so I decided to come back home. You know, your heart is where, home is where your heart is?
Yes. Yeah.
And so my heart was here. And also, I love the warm weather here. I couldn't stand the cold weather in North Carolina. So
when you came back, when did the entrepreneur owning your own business, when did that happen?
It's probably always has been in me. I think it was more of the fear of stepping out on my own is what kept me in corporate America. And honestly, once I even came back, I was at my last job for about 9 years. And in those 9 years, every year I kept saying, this year is going to be my last year. This year is going to be I'm not doing this another year, because that entrepreneur spirit was kind of just burning in the inside of me. And I want to say the last 2 years I was at the company, I started my business, but it was just a tax-based business while I was still working there. But what I realized is that a lot of business owners, they had no idea if they were making money or losing money until tax time. And at that point, it was too late, right? What you did last year is over and done with. We're already, 3-4 months into the new year, and you're just finding out about last year. And so I decided that I wanted to help business owners not only grow their business and understand what they were actually doing in business. And so I decided to expand my business. What I realized too is I couldn't stay in corporate America and run my business and still be successful in my own business.
Right.
So at that point I had to make a decision, and I was totally comfortable in corporate America. I was making good money. I knew my job. I could probably do it in 25 hours a week. And still be comfortable, but I just wasn't being challenged enough. And so the lack of challenge and the desire to help business owners is what made me decide to step out and start my own business.
So when you stepped out, I'm assuming you had a plan.
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. And the reason why I asked that, because some people, they'll just leave and there's not a plan in place.
Right.
Okay, so with that, it sounds like we are about to go on break. So when we get back, we'll go into the plan and how important it is to have a plan. You are listening to On the Cruise right here on In Touch Radio, reality radio, where everyone is a star.
Dr. Veronica Walters, also known as Dr. V, the head of school at the Walters Academy for Entrepreneurship, a place that we like to call The Way, where we're educating today's youthpreneurs to be tomorrow's billionaires through social entrepreneurship. Do you have a student who's bored, frustrated, gifted, inquisitive, creative, business-minded? Then maybe you need to check The Way out. Listen, we have an educational platform that allows for individualized instruction. It's strength-based, project-based, and designed to help your student become the absolute best they can while starting their own business and being an entrepreneur. If you're looking for something different and you need to find a more excellent way, then you need to visit us at The Way. That's The Way, www.thewaetampa.org. Or you can call us at 813-603-7923. We look forward to showing your student a more excellent way at The Way.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen or something down 184-361 Rick. That's 1-843-614-25. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 1-843-661-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
And we are back. You're listening to On the Cruz Radio right here on In Touch Radio. We've been talking to Miss Philanda McDuffie, CPA, learning about the journey from college to Tampa to leaving A&T and, you know, starting our own business. And we left off with a plan because that's what a lot of us lack is the plan.
Yes.
Now, you sort of kind of had a plan?
Sort of kind of had a plan. I had started my business plan, so that was a great start. I will say part of what I know what I was missing in my business plan was a revenue plan, right?
Oh, say that one more time. Revenue plan.
So that was a very important part that I realized I was missing after I got into my business, right? So I knew about the monthly expenses. I knew about the startup costs. And I knew how much I needed to make in order to cover those costs. I just didn't have a plan on how to
make it happen.
Yes.
So, okay, now this is where the juice comes in, guys and gals. So when trying to figure out this plan and, you know, once you jumped out there, now you're out, you're working, you don't have the plan together 100% yet. What was that first roadblock that hit that made you be like, okay, I got to figure this out?
It was when I had a lot of receivables outstanding and my bills were due, right? So I had money that was owed to me, but I couldn't get it or I didn't have access to it.
Right.
So at that point I realized, one, I needed to have a plan and make sure that the finances were coming in and I was not allowing as much money to be owed to me. But then it was also, two, what am I going to do in order to get the funds to cover me until it comes in? And so that's when I had to sit down and realize and come up with a revenue plan, right? So that revenue plan consisted of figuring out how am I going to get this money? You know, is it going to be me getting new clients through networking events? Is it going to be speaking engagements? How am I going to get to those new?
See, and I'm glad you brought that up because, hey Tom, how are you? Because I think that's where, for me, I have to coach a lot on teaching people how to ask for the sale. They're afraid to ask for the sale. And, you know, they'll kind of follow this prospect, for 2 or 3 weeks talking about stuff and even start questioning their own price. So when you decided which which way you're going to go, was it more let me network and just go grab for clients? And how soon did you invoice and what was the turnaround? Because that's where a lot of those folks wait. We wait on how long and to ask for money when it's there, but we just don't ask for it.
That's a very important point. For me, because the type of business that I have, most people need to know, like, and trust me before they're going to give me some money. Right. It's not that I can just put an ad on Facebook or have an ad on radio and they're going to just turn around because they're giving me their financial information.
That's online, guys. They need to know, like you, and trust you, okay?
Yes, for sure. So for me, it was more of networking and speaking engagements to get in front of my potential clients so that they knew who I was. They understood that I knew my information and I was knowledgeable, and then they were able to see my personality and get to connect with me. So I think it really depends on the type of business that you have. But for me, it was more of being in front of the client. And so,
Right.
prospective clients.
See, and that was my transition. A lot of people who know me in the online world, they didn't know Ebony Cruz in the Tampa Bay world. And so I told them a lot of what I used to do was entertainment. And so I stopped hosting a lot of entertainment events so people could understand and see me as that business coach, you know, because it would always be like, well, you know, she's good, you know, but I'm like, no, but I am smart too. Like, like, you know, give me some of that.
Right.
And so for a while, that's what I had to do to transition. And I started doing more speaking and business events so people could see that side of me. The thing about a lot of folks that are online, they feel that online is it. All right. They don't want to leave behind that computer. And if that's the case, that your speaking engagements are your lives, your interviews with other people. Those are your speaking engagements that you would be doing and you'll be working on. All right, so we talked about this business plan. We talked about the entrepreneur trying to figure out the plan to get the money. All right, so it might take you 2 months, depending on how hard you run, or it may take you 30 days.
Yes.
What was your experience?
So it really depends. A lot of times I was able to reach and obtain new clients after just one speaking event. Right. Or it could have been that I was speaking at an event and then they got on my list.
Okay.
And so it was me following up continuously sending out newsletters. And then maybe when tax season rolled around or a situation came up and they needed a CPA, then I was the person that they reached out to.
So when you say list,